I never believed one reckless decision could change my entire life, especially not a decision made by a complete stranger. My name is Ethan Carter. For the past 4 years, I worked as the executive assistant to the most intimidating woman in New York, Victoria Sterling. Everyone in Sterling Global knew her as the Ice Queen. She was 31 years old, the youngest CEO in the company's history, and the woman who could silence an entire conference room with one look. People said she had no emotions. They said she didn't trust anyone. They said getting close to Victoria Sterling was impossible. I knew they were wrong. Not completely wrong, though. Victoria really was cold. She never smiled during meetings. She never attended company parties unless it was absolutely necessary. She never allowed anyone to ask about her personal life. But after working beside her for 4 years, I had noticed things nobody else knew. She hated black coffee, but drank it every morning because she thought it made her look stronger. She skipped lunch whenever she was stressed. She always pretended she wasn't tired. And every night before leaving the office, she would stand alone in front of the window for several minutes, looking like someone who had won everything except happiness. But I was just her assistant, nothing more, at least. That was what I thought. Until that night. Ethan. I looked up from the documents in my hand. Victoria was standing in front of my desk. It was already past midnight, but she was still wearing her business suit. "Are you leaving?" I asked. She stared at me. "Do you want me to leave?" I froze. That was not the kind of question Victoria Sterling usually asked. "Of course not," I replied carefully. "I mean, you're the CEO. This is your company." She walked closer. "You always answer like that." "Like what?" "Like you're afraid of saying what you actually think." I smiled slightly, maybe because most people who tell their CEO what they actually think don't keep their jobs. For a moment, I thought she might get angry. Instead, something unexpected happened. She smiled. Not the polite smile she gave investors. A real smile. Small, but real. "You're different from everyone else, Ethan." I looked away. "You say that because I'm the only person willing to remind you to eat lunch." "No." Her voice became softer. "Because you're the only person who treats me like a person." That sentence stayed in my mind. Because Victoria Sterling never admitted weakness. Not to anyone. The next morning, I woke up with a headache. A terrible headache. The kind where you question every decision you made the night before. I opened my eyes and immediately realized something was wrong. I was not in my apartment. This was not my bedroom. And someone was sitting beside me. A woman. A very familiar woman. I slowly turned my head. Then my entire body froze. Victoria Sterling was sitting there, calmly drinking coffee. My CEO. My boss. The woman who signed my paycheck. She looked at me and said the most terrifying sentence I had ever heard. "Good morning, husband." I stared at her. Then I laughed. Because obviously, I had misunderstood. There was no way. Absolutely no way. "Sorry," I said. "What did you just call me?" She placed the coffee cup down. "My husband." I waited for the punchline. It never came. "Victoria." "Yes. Please tell me this is some kind of joke." "It isn't." I sat up immediately. "Why are you here?" She looked confused. "Ethan, this is my apartment." I looked around. Then I looked back at her. My heart started beating faster. "No." "What?" "No, no, no." I covered my face. "Tell me I didn't do something stupid." Victoria remained completely calm. "You married me." Silence. The room went quiet. I slowly lowered my hand. "I'm sorry." "You heard me. You're saying I married you?" "Yes." "My boss?" "Yes." "The woman who can fire me with one phone call?" She raised an eyebrow. "I would never fire my husband." I almost fell off the bed. "Victoria, stop saying that word." "Why?" "Because it sounds impossible." She looked at me for a few seconds. Then she reached for a folder on the table. My blood ran cold. Inside was a marriage certificate. My name, her name, together. I stared at it. "This has to be fake. It's real." "How?" She looked away. For the first time since I met her, Victoria Sterling looked nervous. I needed someone I could trust. I frowned. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, "My grandfather changed his will." I listened carefully. "He said I cannot inherit the family shares unless I'm married." I blinked. "So you married me because of a business condition?" Her expression changed. "No." "Then why?" She looked directly at me. "Because when I thought about who I could trust beside me." She paused. "It was you." I didn't know what to say. Because Victoria Sterling was not supposed to say things like that. She was supposed to be cold, distant, untouchable, not sitting in front of me, telling me I was the person she trusted most. I stood up. "This cannot continue." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "I mean I'm your assistant. Former assistant." I froze. "What?" She picked up her phone. "I already transferred your position." "You did what?" "You're no longer my employee." I stared at her. "You planned this?" "No." "Victoria." She looked at me seriously. "I knew you would try to run." That hit too close. Because she was right. I was already thinking about quitting, not because I hated my job, because I was tired of being invisible. For 4 years, I stood beside her. I solved problems. I protected her schedule. I remembered every small detail about her. But she was always Victoria Sterling, the untouchable CEO. And I was just Ethan Carter, the assistant behind her. You should have told me. I know. Then why didn't you? Her answer surprised me. Because I was afraid you would say no. I looked at her. Victoria Sterling was afraid of me rejecting her. That was something I never expected. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her expression changed instantly. Who is it? My grandfather's lawyer. And he wants to meet my husband. I sighed. Of course he does. Victoria stood up. Then she walked toward me. What are you doing? Taking you there. I frowned. Victoria, we need to talk about this. We will. Then why are you acting like everything is normal? Because she did. She looked calm, confident, like marrying me overnight was the most natural thing in the world. She stopped in front of me. Then she said quietly, because, Ethan, yes, you're the first thing in my life that feels right. My heart skipped. I had spent 4 years watching Victoria Sterling hide every emotion. And now she was standing in front of me, completely honest. I didn't know whether I should run away or stay. But one thing was certain. My life had changed overnight. Because somehow, I had married the woman I thought I could never reach. And the most terrifying part? A small part of me didn't want to leave. Not anymore. I thought the hardest part of waking up married to Victoria Sterling was accepting the marriage certificate. I was wrong. The hardest part was walking into Sterling Global the next morning and realizing everyone already knew. The moment the elevator doors opened, every conversation stopped, not slowed down, stopped. People turned around, some stared at me, others whispered, and judging by their expressions, I already knew this was not going to be a normal day. I looked at Victoria walking beside me. She looked completely calm, perfect black suit, perfect posture, perfect CEO expression, like she hadn't turned my entire world upside down less than 24 hours ago. I lowered my voice. Did you tell everyone? She looked at me. No. Then how does everyone know? Because my grandfather's lawyer announced it this morning. I stopped walking. You're telling me the entire company found out before I even had breakfast? Yes. I sighed. Great. Victoria tilted her head. Are you nervous? I looked at the hundreds of employees pretending not to watch us. Yes. Why? I gave her a look. Because yesterday, I was Ethan Carter, your assistant. And today, I paused. Today, I'm the guy everyone thinks married the CEO for money. Her expression changed slightly, only slightly, but after 4 years of knowing her, I noticed. She didn't like hearing that. Ethan, it's true. No. Victoria, no. She stopped walking. People around us immediately looked away. She didn't care. Her eyes were fixed on me. You think I don't know what people are saying? I didn't answer. Do you think I don't understand how this looks? Her voice became quieter. I know exactly what they think. I looked at her. Then why do it? That question finally made her silent. For a moment, the powerful CEO disappeared. The woman standing in front of me wasn't Victoria Sterling, the woman who controlled a billion-dollar company. She was just Victoria, a woman who didn't know how to explain herself. Because I needed you. Her answer was simple. Too simple. I looked away. Needed me for the company. No. Then what? She stepped closer. For me. My heart moved. But before I could respond, someone interrupted. Well, this is unexpected. I turned around. A man in his 40s was standing behind us. Richard Sterling, Victoria's uncle, and one of the people who had been waiting for her to fail. I knew him. Everyone in the company knew him. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Congratulations, Victoria. She didn't respond. Richard looked at me. And congratulations to you too, Ethan. I forced a polite smile. Thank you. He laughed. You must be feeling lucky. Victoria's expression immediately turned cold. Richard, what? He raised his hands. I'm just surprised. His eyes moved between us. For years as your assistant. And suddenly he becomes your husband. The hallway became silent. I felt the judgment. The suspicion, the questions nobody wanted to ask. Richard continued, I suppose some people know exactly how to climb the ladder. My expression changed. I could handle insults, but not that. Not after everything I had done. Not after 4 years of working until midnight. Not after fixing problems nobody even knew existed. Before I could say anything, Victoria spoke. Enough. Her voice was colder than I had ever heard. Richard smiled. I'm only stating facts. No. Victoria stepped forward. You're making accusations. Are they wrong? The next second, Victoria did something nobody expected. She took my hand, right in front of everyone. I froze, because Victoria Sterling never touched anyone. Not employees, not investors, not even close friends. But now her fingers were holding mine, firmly, confidently. This man, she said, worked harder than anyone in this company. Nobody spoke. He solved problems before they became disasters. Her eyes moved across the room. He stayed late when everyone else left. Then she looked at Richard. He protected this company when many people in this family were too busy fighting for control. Richard's smile disappeared. Victoria squeezed my hand, and if anyone questions why he is standing beside me, she paused. Question me. My heart stopped, because for the first time in 4 years, Victoria Sterling chose me publicly. Not as an assistant, not as an employee, as someone important. Later that afternoon, I found her in her office. I closed the door behind me. You didn't have to do that. Victoria looked up from her laptop. Do what? Defend me? She frowned. Why wouldn't I? Because now everyone thinks I'm your weakness. She stared at me. Then she stood up. Ethan, yes, you still don't understand. What? You're not my weakness. She walked toward me. You're the only person who has ever made me feel strong. I didn't know how to answer, because Victoria always had an answer for everything. But not this. Not when she looked at me like that. I looked away. Why me? Her expression softened. What do you mean? You could have married anyone. That's not true. You're Victoria Sterling. And you have thousands of people chasing you. She smiled slightly. But I wasn't looking for someone chasing me. I looked back at her. I was looking for someone who stayed. That sentence hit harder than I expected. Because I had stayed for 4 years, through difficult clients, through impossible schedules, through nights when she barely slept. I stayed, but I never thought she noticed. That evening, I finally asked the question I had been avoiding. Did you actually want to marry me? Victoria became quiet. Yes. Even without your grandfather's condition? Yes. I studied her face. You're serious. I am. Why? She looked down, and for a moment, she seemed almost embarrassed. I tried to tell you before. When? Many times. I laughed softly. Victoria, you once canceled a meeting because I told you to eat lunch. I thought you were angry. She smiled. I wasn't angry. You looked angry. I always look angry. That's true. She almost laughed. Almost. Then she became serious again. I didn't know how to say it. Say what? Her voice became softer. That I didn't see you as my assistant anymore. I stopped breathing. I knew everyone saw me as someone impossible to approach. She looked at me. But you never treated me like that. My chest tightened. You argued with me. Because you were wrong. You reminded me to rest, because you looked exhausted. You told me when my decisions were unfair, because they were. For the first time, Victoria laughed, a real laugh, and I realized something. The woman everyone feared was actually just someone who had been waiting for one person to see her. But before I could say anything, my phone rang. It was my old friend, Daniel. I answered. Hey. His voice sounded serious. Ethan, where are you? At work? No. I mean, where are you really? I frowned. What are you talking about? There was a pause. Then he said, everyone online is saying you married Victoria Sterling because you're secretly connected to some powerful family. I froze. What? People are saying your identity was fake. I looked at Victoria. She immediately noticed my expression. What happened? I covered the phone. Someone leaked rumors about me. Her eyes became cold instantly. What rumors? That I was pretending to be an ordinary assistant. Silence. Then Victoria took my phone from my hand. Who posted it? I looked at her. Victoria. Who? I had seen her angry before. But this was different. This was personal. Because this time, they weren't attacking her. They were attacking me, and the Ice Queen CEO was not going to let anyone touch her husband. Not anymore. She looked at the screen, then she said quietly, I'll handle this. I shook my head. No. She looked at me. No. I stepped closer. This is my problem too. For a moment, she just stared, then something changed in her eyes. Pride, warmth, maybe even happiness, because for the first time, I wasn't standing behind her. I was standing beside her, and neither of us knew yet that this rumor was only the beginning, because someone from Victoria's past had returned, and they were determined to destroy the first thing she had ever truly loved. I used to think I understood Victoria Sterling. I thought I knew everything about her. I knew how she liked her coffee. I knew which meetings she hated. I knew she secretly listened to old songs when she worked late. I knew she pretended not to care when people criticized her. But that morning, I realized something. I didn't know Victoria Sterling at all, because the woman I thought was impossible to hurt was protecting me in ways I never noticed. The next day, the rumor had spread everywhere, not just inside Sterling Global. The entire business world was talking. CEO Victoria Sterling marries her assistant overnight. That headline was everywhere, and beneath it were hundreds of comments. Some people congratulated us. Most people didn't. They called me a gold digger. They said I planned everything. They said I had spent 4 years pretending to be loyal just to get close to Victoria. I read those comments quietly in my office. Not because they hurt me. I had heard worse. But because I knew what they meant for Victoria. She had spent her entire life building her reputation. One scandal could damage everything. The door opened. Victoria walked in. She immediately noticed my expression. "What are you reading?" I locked my phone. "Nothing." She looked at me. "Ethan." I sighed. Comments. Her face changed. "You shouldn't read them. I wanted to know what people think." "I don't care what they think." I looked at her. "That's easy for you to say." "No." Her answer was immediate. "It isn't." I froze. Victoria walked closer. "Do you think I never cared about people's opinions?" She smiled sadly. "When I was 25, every newspaper said I only became CEO because my father died and left me the company. I didn't say anything. They said I was too young." She continued, "Too emotional, too weak." Her voice became quieter. "So I became the person everyone expected me to be. The Ice Queen." I understood then. Victoria wasn't born cold. She built that armor because the world kept trying to break her. "Why didn't you tell me about the rumors?" I asked. She looked confused. "Because I didn't want you to worry." I almost laughed. "Victoria, what? I'm your husband now." The word came out naturally. Both of us froze, because it was the first time I had said it. My husband, her husband, not a contract, not a condition, something real. Victoria looked away quickly, and I saw something I had never seen before. She was shy. The woman who negotiated billion-dollar deals was actually embarrassed because I called myself her husband. I smiled. "You're blushing." "I am not." "You are." "I'm not." Victoria Sterling is blushing. She gave me a warning look. "Ethan." "Yes, stop talking." I laughed, and for a moment, everything felt normal. Not like a CEO and assistant. Not like a forced marriage. Just two people. A husband and wife. But that feeling didn't last long. An hour later, Victoria received a call. I watched her expression change. "Who is it?" She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, "My grandfather." I immediately understood. The inheritance, the marriage, everything. Maybe this was the moment when reality came back. After she ended the call, she grabbed her coat. "I need to go." "Where?" "To see him." "I'll come with you." She hesitated. "No." I frowned. "Why?" "This involves my family, and I'm your husband." She looked at me. "You don't have to deal with this." I stepped closer. "Victoria." "Yes." "You keep forgetting something." "What?" "I'm not your assistant anymore." Her eyes softened. "I know." "Then stop trying to protect me from everything." For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she whispered, "Okay." The Sterling family mansion was exactly what I expected. Cold, beautiful, powerful. But what surprised me was not the house. It was the people inside. Because the moment we entered, I felt it. They didn't see me as Victoria's husband. They saw me as a problem. Victoria's grandfather, Alexander Sterling, sat at the head of the room. He looked at me carefully. "So," his voice was calm, "you are Ethan Carter." "Yes, sir." "The man my granddaughter married." "Yes." He looked at Victoria. "Did you choose him?" Victoria didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Not because of the inheritance?" "No." "Not because of the company?" "No." Alexander looked at me again. "Then why?" Before I could answer, Victoria spoke. "Because he is the only person who has ever stayed with me when he had nothing to gain." The room became silent. I looked at her. She continued. "He didn't know about the inheritance. He didn't know I was planning this. He didn't ask for anything." Her voice became stronger. "He just cared." Nobody spoke. Then Alexander smiled. A small smile. "I see." But before he could say more, another voice interrupted. "Grandfather, are you really accepting this?" I turned. A woman was standing there. She was elegant, confident, and judging by Victoria's reaction, she knew her. Victoria's expression instantly changed. "Charlotte." The woman smiled. "It's been a while." I looked at Victoria. "Who is she?" Victoria didn't answer, and that worried me, because Victoria always had an answer. Charlotte walked closer. She looked at me, then smiled. "So this is the man who replaced me." My eyes narrowed. "Replaced you?" Victoria immediately stepped between us. "Charlotte, don't." But Charlotte ignored her. "Ethan, did Victoria tell you?" "Tell me what?" Charlotte smiled. "That before she married you." She looked directly at Victoria. "She was supposed to marry me." Silence. I looked at Victoria. My mind went blank. "What?" Victoria's face changed. "Charlotte, leave." But Charlotte continued. "She never told you?" I looked at Victoria. "Victoria." She didn't answer, and that silence hurt more than anything, because I suddenly remembered something. She had told me she trusted me. She had told me I was important, but there was still a part of her life that she had hidden. On the drive home, neither of us spoke. Finally, I broke the silence. "Were you going to tell me?" Victoria looked out the window. "Ethan, were you?" She closed her eyes. "Yes." "When?" "I don't know." I laughed softly, not because it was funny, because I was hurt. "You don't know?" She turned toward me. "I was trying to find the right time. The right time to tell your husband you almost married someone else." Her expression changed. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? Victoria became quiet, and that scared me because Victoria Sterling was never speechless. Finally, she whispered, "Charlotte was my family's choice." I looked at her, but I never loved her. I didn't respond. She was never the person I wanted. Then who was? Victoria looked at me, and her answer destroyed every wall I had built. You. My heart stopped. Me. Yes. Since when? Her eyes became emotional. Since the day you stayed outside my office for 3 hours because I forgot my umbrella. I remembered that day. It meant nothing to me, but to her, it meant everything. Since the day you defended and in turn, everyone blamed. Since the day you noticed I was sick before anyone else. Since the day you looked at me like I was Victoria. She paused. Not Victoria Sterling. I didn't know what to say, because suddenly I realized I wasn't the only one who had been silently loving someone. That night, I thought I understood everything. I was wrong, because the next morning, I received a message from Charlotte. Only one sentence. Ask Victoria why she really married you. I stared at the screen. My heart sank, because for the first time, I wondered, was Victoria telling me the whole truth? Or was there another secret behind our marriage? I stared at Charlotte's message for almost 5 minutes. One sentence. That was all she sent. Ask Victoria why she really married you. It should not have affected me. After all, I knew Victoria. At least, I thought I did. But once doubt entered my mind, it was impossible to ignore, because there was one question I couldn't answer. Why me? Victoria Sterling had everything. Money, power, status. She could choose anyone in the world. So why did she choose an ordinary man who had spent 4 years carrying her coffee and organizing her schedule? I wanted to believe her answer. I wanted to believe that I was special, but another part of me was afraid. What if I was just convenient? What if I was simply the safest choice? When I arrived at the office, Victoria immediately noticed something was wrong. She always noticed. That was one of the things I hated and loved about her. She could read everyone, including me. Ethan. I looked up. Yes, you're avoiding me. I forced a smile. No, I'm not. She walked closer. You haven't looked at me for 10 minutes. I didn't answer. Her expression softened. What happened? I almost told her. I almost showed her the message. But then I remembered her silence yesterday. The way she avoided answering. The way Charlotte's words stayed between us. I just need some time. Victoria became still. Time for what? To think. Her eyes changed. Not anger. Fear. A quiet fear that most people would never notice. But I did. Ethan. Yes. Are you regretting marrying me? The question surprised me, because Victoria Sterling did not ask people if they were leaving. She told people what to do. But with me, she asked. I looked at her. I don't know. That answer hurt her. I saw it, and immediately, I regretted saying it. But I couldn't pretend. Not about something this important. That afternoon, Victoria canceled 3 meetings. Everyone in the company was shocked. Victoria Sterling never canceled meetings. Never. But she did, because she wanted to talk to me. We sat across from each other in her office. No assistants, no employees, no CEO and subordinate. Just us. Ethan. I looked at her. Tell me what happened. I stayed silent. Then I placed my phone on the table. The message was still there. Victoria read it. Her expression changed immediately. Charlotte sent this? Yes. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked exhausted. Of course she did. Victoria. She looked at me. Is there something else you haven't told me? She didn't answer. And that silence hurt again. Please don't do that. Do what? Stay quiet when I'm asking you the truth. Her fingers tightened. Then she whispered. I was afraid. I froze. Afraid of what? Afraid that if I told you everything, she looked down, you would leave. That answer was not what I expected, because Victoria Sterling was never afraid of losing anyone. But she was afraid of losing me. Tell me everything. She took a deep breath. Then she began. 3 years ago, my grandfather wanted me to marry Charlotte. I listened carefully. Charlotte's family was one of our biggest partners. Everyone thought it was the perfect match. And you agreed? No. Her answer was immediate. I refused. Why? Because I didn't love her. I nodded slowly. Then why did you keep her around? Victoria looked uncomfortable. Because my grandfather believed Charlotte could help protect the company. I frowned. So it was a business arrangement. Yes. Like our marriage? Her face changed. No. The answer came so quickly that I believed her. But I needed to understand. Then what makes ours different? Victoria looked at me. And for once, she didn't look like a CEO. She looked like someone opening a wound. Because I chose you before I needed you. I didn't speak, she continued, before my grandfather changed the inheritance rules. Before the marriage requirement. She paused. I had already fallen in love with you. My heart skipped. Victoria, I know you don't believe me. I want to, but you never said anything. She looked away. I was scared. You? Yes. She gave a small, sad smile. You were the first person who treated me normally. I stayed silent. If I told you how I felt, I was afraid everything would change. You thought I would leave? Yes. I almost laughed, because it was the exact opposite. I spent 4 years thinking you didn't even notice me. Victoria looked surprised. Ethan. What? I noticed everything. I stared at her. She smiled slightly. You always tapped your pen when you were nervous. I froze. You hated spicy food but pretended you liked it when clients ordered it. How did you know that? Because you drank 3 glasses of water afterward. I didn't know what to say. You remembered everything about me. She looked at me. I remembered everything about you too. For the first time since this began, I believed her. Not completely, not yet, but enough. Then my phone rang. It was my old colleague, Mark. I answered. Hello. His voice sounded urgent. Ethan, you need to see this. What? There's a new article. My stomach tightened. What article? Someone leaked documents about your marriage. I stood up. What documents? Your old employment records. I froze. Why? Because someone is claiming you manipulated Victoria to get promoted. I looked at Victoria. She immediately understood. Send it to me. Mark sent the link. I opened it. The headline made my blood run cold. Victoria Sterling's assistant planned his rise to power. The article claimed I had secretly investigated Victoria's family, learned about the inheritance, and intentionally got close to her. A complete lie, but a dangerous one, because people believed stories before facts. Victoria read the article. Her face became terrifyingly calm. That was the version of Victoria the world feared. The Ice Queen. Who published this? I looked at the name, a company I recognized, Sterling Media. Victoria's expression changed. That's impossible. Why? Because Sterling Media belongs to my cousin. I frowned. Your family? Yes. She stood up. I need to handle this. I grabbed her hand. She stopped. Victoria. Yes. Don't handle this alone. She looked at our hands, then at me. A small smile appeared. You're worried about me? Of course. Even after everything? I nodded. Especially after everything. For a moment, she just looked at me. Then she whispered, Ethan. Yes, I think I finally understand something. What? I didn't marry you because I needed someone to save me. She squeezed my hand. I married you because I wanted someone to come home to. My heart softened, but before I could answer, the office door suddenly opened. Her assistant rushed in. Miss Sterling. Victoria turned. What happened? The assistant looked nervous. The board members are waiting. For what? She hesitated, then said, they want you to choose. I frowned. Choose what? The assistant looked at me, then back at Victoria. Your company, a pause, or your husband. The room went silent. I looked at Victoria, and for the first time, I saw something I never expected. Not fear of losing power, not fear of losing money, fear of losing me. I had faced angry clients. I had faced impossible deadlines. I had even faced Victoria Sterling when she was in one of her worst moods. But nothing prepared me for seeing her stand in front of the board members and choose between her company and me. Because I knew Victoria. Sterling Global was not just a company. It was her entire life. She had spent years proving herself. Every achievement, every late night, every sacrifice, everything was tied to this company. And now her family was asking her to choose me or everything she built. The boardroom was silent when we entered. 10 people sat around the table. Most of them were members of the Sterling family. They looked at me differently now. Not like yesterday. Yesterday, they looked suspicious. Today, they looked like they had already decided I was guilty. Victoria walked to the front. I stayed beside her. One of the board members, Mr. Harrison, spoke first. Victoria, this situation has become a serious issue. She didn't react. My marriage is a personal matter. No, his voice was cold. When your personal matter affects the reputation of Sterling Global, it becomes a company matter. I almost laughed because that was exactly how powerful families worked. Everything became business, even love. Victoria looked at him. Is that all? Mr. Harrison exchanged a glance with the others. No. He placed a document on the table. We want you to make a decision. I already knew where this was going. Victoria picked up the document. Her eyes scanned it. Then she placed it down. You want me to remove Ethan from the company? Nobody answered, but silence was enough. I stepped forward. I can leave. Victoria immediately turned. No. I looked at her. Victoria. No. Her voice was firm, not the CEO voice. Something deeper, personal. I'm not leaving because of rumors. I lowered my voice. You shouldn't lose everything because of me. She stared at me. Ethan. Yes, you still don't understand. Understand what? She looked around the room, then back at me. You are not the reason I am in trouble. I was silent. The people who believe I would abandon someone I love to protect my position. Her eyes became cold. They are the reason. The room became quiet. I froze, because Victoria had never said that word before. Love. Not about me. Not in public. Not even privately. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Victoria, this is emotional thinking. No. She looked at him. This is the first honest decision I have made in years. Nobody spoke. She continued. For my entire life, I have made choices based on what other people wanted. Her voice became stronger. My family wanted me to be perfect. The board wanted me to be ruthless. The world wanted me to be untouchable. She paused, but Ethan never asked me to become anyone else. I looked at her. She smiled slightly. He only asked me to eat lunch. A few people looked confused, but I understood, because that was Victoria. That was us. The little things mattered. One of the board members shook his head. This is reckless. Victoria turned. Is it? Yes. Then answer me this. She stepped closer. When this company was facing a financial crisis 3 years ago, who stayed here for 30 hours without sleeping? Nobody answered. When our biggest investor threatened to leave, who fixed the problem? Silence. When our employees needed someone to defend them, who did it? Her eyes moved across the room. Ethan. My breath stopped, because I had never told anyone about those things. I had never wanted recognition. I just did my job. Victoria continued. You call him my weakness. She looked at me. He is the reason I became stronger. After the meeting ended, I followed Victoria back to her office. The moment the door closed, I turned to her. You shouldn't have done that. She looked at me. Why? Because you risked your company. She walked closer. And you think I don't know? I'm serious. So am I. Her expression softened. Ethan, do you really think I built this company just to keep it? I didn't answer. I built it because I wanted a life where I could choose. She looked at me. And I choose you. Those words hit me harder than I expected. Because Victoria Sterling didn't make emotional promises. She made decisions. And she had just made the biggest one of her life. That night, I found her sitting alone in her office. Not working, just sitting. That was unusual. I knocked. You're still awake. She looked up. You noticed. I always notice. A small smile appeared. I walked inside. Are you okay? She looked away. I'm tired. The honesty surprised me. Victoria Sterling admitting she's tired? Don't make fun of me. I'm not. You sat beside her. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I was afraid today. I looked at her. Of losing the company? She shook her head. No. Then what? She looked at me. Of you deciding I wasn't worth the trouble. I froze. Because that was exactly what I had been afraid of. That she would realize marrying me was a mistake. You really thought that? Yes. Victoria. She smiled sadly. You think I'm fearless because everyone sees the CEO. She touched her wedding ring. But this, she looked at it. This is the first thing I have ever had that I truly wanted. I reached for her hand. You know something? What? I spent years thinking I was invisible to you. Her eyes softened. I'm sorry. No. I shook my head. I'm not blaming you. Then what? I'm just saying. I smiled. You're terrible at showing feelings. She actually laughed. You're criticizing your wife? Yes. That's dangerous. I survived 4 years as your assistant. She looked at me. Fair point. The next morning, something unexpected happened. I walked into the company and everyone stood up. Not because Victoria arrived. Because of me. I looked confused. Then one employee approached. Mr. Carter. I frowned. Mr. Carter? He smiled. Congratulations. For what? He pointed toward the screen behind him. A company announcement. Victoria had released a statement. Only one sentence. My husband, Ethan Carter, is not a risk to Sterling Global. He is family. I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. Family. Not assistant. Not employee. Family. Then my phone vibrated. A message from Victoria. Come to my office. I smiled. When I arrived, she was standing by the window. What happened? She turned around. I have something for you. She handed me a folder. I opened it. My eyes widened. What is this? Your new position. I looked at the document. Vice President? I immediately looked up. Victoria. No. Yes. I can't accept this. Why? Because people will say I got it because I married you. She walked closer. Then prove them wrong. I looked at her. You're serious. Very. She fixed my collar. A small gesture. But from Victoria. It meant everything. Ethan. Yes. Stop trying to disappear whenever life becomes difficult. I smiled. Is that an order, CEO? No. She looked at me warmly. It's a request from your wife. My heart softened, but before I could answer, the office phone rang. Victoria picked it up. Her expression changed. What? A pause. Then her face became cold. Are you sure? I immediately knew something was wrong. She hung up. What happened? She looked at me. The person behind the rumors. She paused. It wasn't Charlotte. I frowned. Then who? Victoria's eyes darkened. My father's former business partner. I waited. Someone who knows a secret about my family. What secret? She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. Ethan, yes. The reason my grandfather forced me to marry, she swallowed. It wasn't only about inheritance. My heart sank. Then what was it? Victoria whispered, because someone is trying to take everything away from me. And this time, she wasn't talking about the company. She was talking about us. I had always believed my marriage to Victoria Sterling happened because of one unexpected night. A mistake, a strange coincidence, a desperate decision made because of her grandfather's inheritance rule. But that morning, standing in Victoria's office, and seeing fear in her eyes, I realized something. I had been wrong, very wrong, because Victoria Sterling was not afraid of losing money. She was not afraid of losing power. She was afraid of losing me, and that meant there was something much bigger happening behind our marriage. Victoria, she looked at me. Tell me everything. For several seconds, she said nothing. That was the first time I had seen her hesitate this much. Finally, she sat down. I sat across from her. 3 years ago, she began. My father died. I nodded. Everyone knew that story. Victoria's father, James Sterling, had been the previous CEO of Sterling Global. He left behind a company and a family that looked perfect from the outside. She smiled bitterly. But inside, everything was falling apart. I listened quietly. My father discovered someone inside the company was stealing money. I frowned. Someone from the family? Yes. Who? She looked at me. My uncle's closest partner. I understood. The same person behind the rumors. What happened after your father found out? He planned to expose them. She paused, but he never got the chance. The room became silent. Victoria, she looked down. The night before he was supposed to reveal everything. He had an accident. My expression changed. An accident? She nodded. That's what everyone believed. I felt a chill. You think it wasn't? I don't know. That answer surprised me, because Victoria always knew. But this time, she was admitting uncertainty. The police closed the case, she continued. But my grandfather never believed it was an accident. And the marriage requirement? She looked at me. My grandfather changed his will after that. I finally understood. He wanted someone you trusted beside you. Yes. Someone outside your family. Yes. I stared at her. And you chose me. She looked at me. I chose you before that. My heart tightened. Before that, Victoria nodded. You don't remember. Remember what? The first time we met. I frowned. Of course I remembered. For years ago, my first day at Sterling Global. I was just another employee, nervous, trying not to make mistakes. But Victoria looked at me like she was remembering something else. You were not supposed to become my assistant. What? She smiled slightly. The HR department assigned someone else. I was shocked. Then why did I become your assistant? Because I requested it. I stared at her. Why? She looked away. Because I saw you before your interview. When? Outside the building. I tried to remember. Nothing. What happened? Victoria's voice became softer. You helped an old man pick up his papers. I blinked. That? Yes. I don't even remember. I do. She smiled. You didn't know anyone was watching. I looked at her. And you thought I was special because I helped someone? No. Then why? Because everyone else walked past him. She paused, but you stopped. I didn't know what to say. Victoria continued. That was the first time I thought. What? That maybe there was someone in this world who wasn't pretending. I sat there silently, because suddenly, for years of memories looked different. The extra coffee she bought, the small conversations, the way she always asked if I got home safely, the way she trusted me with things she told nobody else. Maybe I wasn't imagining it. Maybe she had been trying, and maybe I had been too afraid to notice. Later that day, Victoria and I went to meet her grandfather. We needed answers. Real answers. Alexander Sterling looked older than before. Not weak, just tired. When he saw us enter together, he smiled. You two finally look like a married couple. Victoria rolled her eyes. Grandfather, he laughed. You still hate compliments. I smiled. This was the first time I had seen someone tease Victoria and survive. Then Alexander looked at me. Ethan. Yes, sir. I owe you an apology. I was surprised. For what? For allowing my family to question your intentions. I didn't answer. He continued. When Victoria told me she chose you, I knew you were different. Then why test me? Because I needed to know if you loved Victoria. He looked at me seriously, or if you loved the idea of Victoria Sterling. I understood, and a small smile appeared. You passed. Victoria looked annoyed. Grandfather, what? You made him suffer. I made both of you suffer. She became quiet, because he was right. Then Alexander gave us something, an old file. This belonged to your father. Victoria opened it. Inside were documents, names, transactions, evidence, and one photograph. Her father, standing beside another man. Victoria's face changed. Impossible. What? She handed me the photo. I looked. The man beside James Sterling was someone I recognized. My stomach dropped. Wait. Victoria looked at me. You know him? I stared at the picture. Yes. Who? I swallowed. My father. Silence. Nobody moved. Victoria looked confused. Your father? I nodded slowly. My father worked with James Sterling. Alexander stood up. What is your father's name? Michael Carter. His expression changed completely because he knew that name. What happened? I asked. Alexander looked at me. Michael Carter was the person who helped your father uncover the truth. I froze. My father? Yes. Then why did nobody tell me? Nobody answered. Because there was only one possible explanation. Someone had hidden it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Too many questions. My father. Victoria's father. The accident. The marriage. Everything was connected. Victoria found me sitting on the balcony. You should sleep. I looked at her. You too. She sat beside me. For a while, we were quiet. Then she asked, Are you angry? At you? Yes. I thought about it. No. Why? Because you were protecting me. She looked surprised. I was, but you were also shutting me out. Her eyes lowered. I know. I sighed. Victoria. Yes, we're married. She looked at me. Real marriage or not. I smiled slightly. You don't get to carry everything alone anymore. For several seconds, she didn't speak. Then she leaned against my shoulder. A small movement, but from Victoria Sterling. It meant everything. I'm not used to this. Used to what? Having someone stay. I looked at her. I'm not going anywhere. She closed her eyes. I'm glad. The next morning, everything changed because someone sent me an anonymous package. Inside was a letter. Only one sentence. Ask your wife why her father really trusted yours. I looked at Victoria, and before I could say anything, her phone rang. She answered. Then her face turned pale. What happened? She slowly lowered the phone. Ethan. Yes. My father's old partner wants to meet us. Who? She looked at me. The man who knows why our fathers died. My heart stopped because suddenly I understood. Our marriage wasn't just a coincidence. It wasn't just about inheritance. It was connected to a secret that started decades ago. And whoever was hiding that secret was willing to destroy anyone who got close, including us. I used to think protecting someone meant standing in front of them, taking the hit, solving the problem before they even knew there was one. That was how I spent 4 years with Victoria. I handled her schedule. I solved her problems. I made sure she never had to deal with unnecessary trouble. But I never realized something. The strongest people in the world sometimes don't need someone to fight for them. They need someone who will stand beside them. And for the first time in her life, Victoria Sterling allowed someone to stand beside her. The man who wanted to meet us chose a private location outside the city. His name was Jonathan Reeves, former business partner of Victoria's father. The same man connected to the rumors. The same man who had been hiding in the shadows. Victoria sat beside me in the car. Usually, she would be reviewing documents, checking information, preparing every possible outcome. But today, she was quiet. Too quiet. I looked at her. Are you nervous? She immediately answered. No. I smiled. Victoria, what? You're holding your phone upside down. She looked down, then quickly turned it over. I tried not to laugh. I didn't know the Ice Queen could make mistakes. She gave me a look. Don't call me that. Why? Because I don't want to be that person with you. That answer surprised me, because everyone else knew Victoria as the Ice Queen. But she didn't want to be that woman around me. She wanted to be Victoria. Just Victoria. Before we arrived, she grabbed my hand. I looked down. Are you okay? She nodded. She stopped. Victoria Sterling hated admitting weakness. So I waited. Finally, she said, I'm tired of losing people. My expression softened. You're not going to lose me. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She looked at me. How? Because you're stuck with me. For a second, she stared. Then she laughed. A real laugh. You're impossible. I learned from you. That makes no sense. Exactly. She shook her head, but she was smiling. And somehow, that smile mattered more than anything. Jonathan Reeves was waiting when we arrived. He looked older than his photos, but his eyes were sharp. The moment he saw Victoria, he sighed. You look exactly like your father. Victoria became cold instantly. You knew my father. Yes. You worked with him. Yes. Then tell me the truth. Jonathan looked at me, and he is my husband. A strange emotion appeared on Jonathan's face. Surprise, then something like relief. Michael Carter's son. I froze. You knew my father? Jonathan nodded. He saved my life. Victoria looked confused. Then why did you attack my family? Unit's sight. Because I was trying to protect you. Nobody spoke. That was not the answer we expected. Protect me? Yes. Victoria's eyes narrowed. By spreading rumors? No. By attacking Sterling Global? No. Then explain. Jonathan took a folder from his bag. I didn't spread those rumors. He placed the folder on the table. Someone used my company's name. Victoria opened it. Her expression changed. Forgery. Yes. I looked at the documents. Someone had carefully copied Jonathan's company records. Someone wanted us to believe he was the enemy. Who? Jonathan looked at Victoria. Your uncle. Silence. Victoria's face became cold. My uncle? Your uncle knew your father discovered the truth. What truth? Jonathan looked at both of us. The reason your father died. My heart tightened. Tell us. Jonathan took a deep breath. Your father discovered that someone inside Sterling Global was secretly transferring company assets. Victoria's hands tightened. Who? Jonathan hesitated, then said, Your uncle. The room became silent. I looked at Victoria. She didn't move. She didn't react. But I knew her. She was hurting, because no matter how powerful someone was, family betrayal always hurt the most. Why didn't you tell me? Victoria's voice was quiet. Jonathan looked guilty. Because your grandfather made me promise. My grandfather? He knew the truth would destroy you. Victoria laughed softly, not happily. So, everyone decided what I should know. I reached for her hand. She held mine immediately. That small movement told me everything. She was angry. She was hurt. But she wasn't alone anymore. After we left, Victoria didn't say anything. She just walked. Finally, I stopped her. Victoria. She didn't turn. I'm fine. No, you're not. I am. Stop saying that. She looked at me. For a moment, the CEO returned. Cold, controlled, untouchable. Then she saw me, and the mask disappeared. I don't know what to do. The words were almost a whisper. I froze, because Victoria Sterling had just admitted she didn't know. I stepped closer. You don't have to know everything. She looked at me. I'm supposed to. No. I shook my head. You're supposed to be human. Her eyes became emotional. I hate this. What? Feeling like I can't control everything. I smiled. Welcome to being married. She looked at me. What? You can't control me. For a second, she looked offended. Then she laughed. You're right. See? You're very annoying, but you like me. She became quiet, then whispered, Yes. That night, we stayed at a hotel because it was too late to drive back. I expected Victoria to work. She always worked when she was stressed. But instead, she sat beside me. No laptop, no documents, no CEO mode. Just Victoria. Ethan. Yes. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you stay? I looked at her. What do you mean? For years. She looked down. You had opportunities to leave. She was right. I did. Many times. But I didn't. Why? I thought about it, then answered honestly. Because I like being the person you trusted. Her eyes softened. That's all. I smiled. No. What else? Because I like seeing the person behind the CEO. Victoria became quiet. The person nobody else knows. For several seconds. She looked at me. Then she leaned closer. I don't think I deserve you. I immediately shook my head. Don't say that. Why? Because you're wrong. She smiled slightly. You always argue with me. Someone has to. Then she rested her head against my shoulder. And for the first time, Victoria Sterling wasn't trying to be strong. She was just allowing herself to be loved. The next morning, we returned to Sterling Global, but something was waiting for us. The entire company was gathered. The board members, the executives, everyone. Victoria frowned. What is this? Her assistant walked forward. Miss Sterling, what happened? The assistant looked nervous. The board is called an emergency meeting. Why? She swallowed. Because someone submitted evidence. Victoria's expression changed. Evidence of what? The assistant looked at me, then said, Evidence that Mr. Carter's father was involved in your father's death. My blood froze. What? Victoria immediately stepped in front of me. No. Everyone looked shocked, because they had never seen Victoria react like that. She looked at the entire room and said, Anyone who accuses my husband. Her voice became cold. Accuses me first. I looked at her. The woman who once carried everything alone was now standing in front of me, protecting me. And I realized something. The world called Victoria Sterling an ice queen, but they never saw the truth. She wasn't cold. She was just waiting for someone worth melting for. And now, she had found him. I used to think the most important moment in my life would be some huge achievement, a promotion, a successful career, a chance to prove myself. I never imagined it would be the morning I woke up beside Victoria Sterling and heard two words that changed everything. Good morning, husband. But before we reached that moment, we had to survive the storm that threatened to tear us apart. The emergency board meeting was the most intense meeting Sterling Global had ever held. Everyone was there, the board members, the executives, the shareholders, and standing in the center of the room was the person who had started everything, Victoria's uncle, Robert Sterling. He looked calm, too calm. Victoria, Robert said, This situation has gone too far. Victoria stood beside me. Her hand was holding mine, a small gesture, but everyone noticed. You mean the situation where someone framed my husband? Robert's expression changed slightly. I mean the situation where your husband's family may have been responsible for your father's death. The room became silent. I felt every eye on me. The old Ethan Carter would have stepped back. He would have apologized. He would have tried to disappear. But I wasn't that person anymore. Because Victoria had taught me something. I didn't have to stand behind her. I could stand beside her. Robert placed a file on the table. These documents prove Michael Carter had access to your father's financial records before his death. Everyone looked at me. Victoria didn't. She looked at Robert. Is that all? Robert frowned. What? That's your evidence? He hesitated. Victoria picked up the file. You expect me to believe my husband's father betrayed mine because of a few copied documents? Robert's face darkened. You're protecting him because you're emotionally involved. No. Victoria's voice became cold. I'm protecting him because I know him. I looked at her, and my heart tightened because that sentence meant everything. She trusted me. Completely. Robert laughed. You really believe this man loves you? Victoria didn't move. Yes. You barely knew him before marriage. No. She looked around the room. Everyone here is making the same mistake. What mistake? You think Ethan appeared in my life overnight? She turned to me. He didn't. Then she looked back at everyone. He was there for years. Nobody spoke. He was there when my father's company was struggling. He was there when I had nobody I could trust. He was there when everyone saw me as a CEO. Her voice softened, but he saw me as Victoria. I lowered my head slightly, because hearing her say that in front of everyone meant more than any title. Then I stepped forward. Actually, everyone looked at me. Victoria turned. Ethan, I smiled. I think it's my turn. She looked surprised. Because she knew me. She knew I hated attention. But this time, I needed to speak. I looked at Robert. You made one mistake. He narrowed his eyes. What? You assumed I was only an assistant. The room became quiet. I continued. My father taught me something before he died. I paused. Never trust numbers without understanding the people behind them. Robert's expression changed. I opened my laptop. For years, I had managed Victoria's schedule, but that wasn't all. I had studied the company, the contracts, the financial reports, because I cared, because I wanted to make her job easier. And now, those details became evidence. I reviewed the documents you submitted. I connected my laptop to the screen. They're fake. A few board members looked shocked. Robert laughed. You think you can prove that? Yes. I pointed at the screen. The transaction dates were changed. The signatures were copied. And the person who created these files forgot one thing. What? I looked at him. My father's original records. Silence. I placed another file on the table. Jonathan Reeves had given it to us. Original evidence. Everything Robert had tried to hide. The room exploded with whispers. Victoria looked at me. Not like an assistant. Not like someone she needed to protect. Like a partner. Robert's expression finally broke. You. Victoria looked at him. Why? For the first time, Robert looked nervous. Victoria, why did you do it? The room became silent. He didn't answer. Then Alexander Sterling walked in. Everyone froze. Victoria's grandfather. He looked at Robert. I think you should answer her. Robert's face turned pale. Father, yes. Alexander's voice was full of disappointment. I knew about your betrayal years ago. Everyone gasped. Victoria turned. Grandfather? I didn't have enough evidence. He looked at Victoria. And I was afraid. Victoria looked hurt. You knew? Yes. Then why didn't you tell me? Alexander looked at her. Because I had already lost your father. He sighed. I was afraid of losing you too. Victoria became silent. For the first time, she understood. Everyone had been protecting her, but everyone had also been hurting her. After everything ended, Robert was removed from the company. The truth about Victoria's father was finally revealed. Michael Carter's name was cleared, and Sterling Global finally belonged to the person who deserved it, Victoria. But none of that mattered to me as much as what happened afterward. That night, Victoria and I stood outside the company building. For the first time in days, there was no crisis, no rumors, no secrets, just us. You're quiet. I looked at her. So are you. She smiled. I'm thinking. About what? She looked at the city. About how strange my life became. I laughed. Because you married your assistant? She looked at me. No. Then, because the person I thought would complicate my life. She stepped closer. Became the person who made it better. I smiled. Victoria. Yes. Do you regret it? She frowned. Regret what? Marrying me. Her answer came instantly. Never. I looked at her. Even if you lost the inheritance? Yes. Even if you lost the company? Yes. Even if everyone turned against you? She held my hand. Ethan. Yes. I would choose you again. 3 months later, things finally became normal. Almost, because there was one thing that still hadn't changed. Victoria was still Victoria, the powerful CEO, the woman everyone respected, the woman everyone feared. But at home, she was different, very different. Ethan, I looked up from my book. Yes. Why are you smiling? Because I never thought I would see Victoria Sterling wearing pajamas and fighting with a coffee machine. She crossed her arms. It betrayed me. It's a coffee machine. It knows what it did. I laughed, and she smiled. A real smile. The next morning, I woke up before her. I watched her sleeping peacefully. No pressure, no responsibility, no walls, just Victoria, my wife. Then she opened her eyes. For a moment, she looked confused. Then she smiled. Good morning, husband. I froze. Even after everything, those words still affected me. I smiled. Good morning, wife. She moved closer. You know something? What? I used to think needing someone was weakness. I listened. Then I met you. She touched my hand, and I realized, what? That finding someone who stays, she smiled, is the strongest thing in the world. I held her hand, and I used to think I was just your assistant. You were. I raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? She smiled. My assistant. Then she leaned closer. My husband. I laughed. You're impossible. And you love me. I looked at her. Yes. No hesitation. No fear. Just the truth. Because overnight, I married a stranger. But the next morning, I discovered she was the woman who had been waiting for me all along. And the coldest woman in the world. Only ever wanted one person to call her home. Me.